will, what, I have to use one particular language for that. Yes. So I want to communicate something with you all. I want to instruct something. I want to give you an assignment. I want to teach you something. So I want to basically pass on an information with you all. I want you all to do something. And for that, I must be able to communicate. I must be able to convey my message to you, my information to you. Yes. And how am I supposed to do that? By using a particular language. Okay, so communication always takes place via a language. So I will use one language that will be understood by every student in the class. Okay, so that you can easily understand what I have said or what I have asked. Okay, and even if I am using another language, say I am using Bengali, if many people, many students do not understand this particular language, so what will you do? You would either ask me to translate it to a common language that you would understand, or you would get help from a friend. You would ask your friend that, ma'am, spoke in Bengali, I am quite weak in Bengali, so can you please translate it in Hindi or Assamese or English so that it is understood by me. Okay, so this is what the purpose of a language is. We use a language to communicate, and we prefer using that language which is understood, okay, by both parties. Fine. So this is what a programming language is. To write a set of instructions. Okay, so starting from the beginning, a computer is a dumb machine. A computer does not know what to do. We have to, the users will have to instruct the computer what to do. Okay, so the user must write, the user must give the instructions in such a way that the computer can understand what it is supposed to perform, what operation it is supposed to perform. So accordingly, the user will write a series of instructions in a proper sequence. Okay, now to write those set of instructions is known as a program. Now to write a program, we need a language to communicate with the computer. Okay, and since we are, we are human beings, so we can use only those language that we find easy to write, read. Okay, so we will use one language using which we can easily write the program, or we can understand the program, and we will give it to the computer. The computer will take the instructions one by one from the program, and accordingly it will do the processing. Okay, so that is the very purpose of programming language. That is the reason why we need programming languages. Is it clear till here? Have you understood why we need, what is a computer, why we need a, what is a program, and why we need a programming language?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, fine. Now talking about programming languages, as I said, see, there are many languages. In fact, today if you look at, there are many different types of languages. Yes, but however, if you go back in time, we can categorize this. Okay, we can broadly categorize this into two categories, into two parts. One is the low level language and one is the high level language. Okay, the low level languages are those languages which is closer to the machine, which is closer to the computer. The computer can directly understand. Okay, and high level languages are those which are closer to the user. It is closer to us. We will communicate with the computer using high level language. Okay, but the computer understands only low level language. Okay, that is why low level and high level. So we will try to understand it in details. So first, as you can see, this is the pictorial um, depiction of high level and low level language. So this is the CPU, this is the computer system. Okay, so here the low level language can be directly understood by the CPU. Okay, that be it the assembly language or the machine language, it is directly understood by the CPU. Okay, and the high level language, this is the language which the user or the programmer will use to write the instructions or to write the program to the computer. Okay, now we will understand that. First we will go through low level languages. Okay, so starting with the, see again, low level languages are of two types. Okay, the machine level language, which is also known as the first generation language, and the assembly language, which is known as the second generation language. Okay, so we start with the machine level language. So see, here in machine language, see, machine language, the name itself suggests that it is the language which is used by the machine, which is understood by the machine. Okay, so the language that I told you, that is the binary language, okay, that is the machine language. Since the computer only understands binary language, binary means 2 bits, 0 and 1, bi means 2. Okay, so the computer understands only binary language 0 and 1, and that is why the binary language is also called the machine language. Okay, so here you see all instructions are given in the binary form. So in the first generation language, if you write any program using the first generation language, you will have to write it in the binary form, that is only in terms of zeros or ones. So whatever you want to say, suppose you want to write cat or dog, okay, so these words needs to be written in binary form, that is in zeros and ones. Okay, so everything must be written in zeros and ones. Okay, but however, there's a drawback of this particular language. The drawbacks are, it is not easy to remember these language, okay, the instructions. If you are supposed to write cat, okay, it will be very difficult for you all to write it in terms of zeros and ones. Okay, it is very difficult for the user to read, write and remember machine level language. Okay, so these are some of the disadvantages. Also, if you are writing any program using binary language, okay, it will be very time consuming, because it is a very tedious task. Okay, you have to give in much time to write that, you have to convert every word to binary, and then you have to write the language, which is not possible at all. Okay, so it is a very tedious task, it is very time consuming, and it is also error prone. There are much chances for the user to make error while writing the machine language programs or the first generation language. Okay, also that it is not portable. You cannot say you have written a program in one machine, you cannot transfer it to another machine, because it is machine dependent. Okay, it is machine dependent. Machine languages are machine dependent, so you cannot write it in one machine and transfer it into another machine. Okay, so portability is zero here. So these are some disadvantages. Advantage being that because the computer can directly understand the machine language, so there's no need for translation. Okay, so there's no need for translation, because the CPU will directly understand what the programmer has written. So there's no need for translation in machine level language programs. Okay, that is the only advantage. However, there are multiple disadvantages. Okay, next we talk about assembly language. Now, to overcome the disadvantages of machine language, the assembly language came into use, and it was also called the second generation language. Okay, it is also called the second generation language. Now, second generation language, what we do is, you see, we will make use of, since we have understood the disadvantages of machine language, mainly that it is very difficult for the user to use the machine language, because it is not easy to read it, write it or understand it by the user. Okay, so the difficulty level lies with the user. As you can see, it is far away from the programmer. Okay, programmer understands only high level languages, so programmer do not understand low level, it is machine language. So it is far away from the programmer, is far away from the machine language. So that is why, to make things a bit easier for the programmer, assembly language was designed with the view that, instead of using zeros and ones to write everything, better we use some English notations. We use some English alphabets, that is, we use some symbolic notations to represent the instructions. Okay, so assembly language basically makes use of some mnemonics. Mnemonics are nothing but some symbolic notations in English language, okay, to write programs. So if you see, Okay, so this is one example. Just ignore this part. Okay, this is one example. Add a comma b comma r1. Okay, so if you can see, this is a symbolic representation where we are to add two numbers and store it in a register r1. Okay, now you see, if you see add, we have not written any sentence here. Okay, this is a simple word add. Okay, and then we have given some alphabets like a comma b, then we have given another a combination of character, a combination of alphabet and digit, which is r1. Okay, so this is a symbolic representation. Okay, this is how we write instructions in assembly language. Okay, this is one such instruction add in assembly language. So in assembly language, we will not make use of zeros and ones just as in here. Okay, this is machine language. So here we had to write everything in terms of zeros and ones, which was next to impossible for a user. Therefore, to make things a bit easier, the second generation computers came up with the second generation language, which is called the assembly language. And the assembly language was mainly designed to make use of mnemonics or symbolic notations, which are written using English alphabets, okay, or numbers. Okay, so here we will make use of symbolic notations. Now you see, as I said, that we have moved one step above. Okay, so here if you look at this diagram, I said that low level language is very much closer to the system because it can be easily understood by the system. However, assembly language is one step forward of the machine language. Okay, because it does not use binary language, it uses English. Okay, it uses symbols, English symbols of the English alphabet. Okay, so therefore, since the system will not directly understand the English language, so what needs to be done? There must be a way of translating the symbols written in assembly language to the machine language. That means to zeros and ones. Okay, so here we have to do one step of translation because we are one step ahead here in case of machine language. Okay, so always remember that whenever the user writes a program, that program is known as the source program. Okay, so in whichever language you have written your program, that program is called the source program. In case of machine language, we wrote the program using binary language only, using machine language only. So in that case, the program that the user wrote using the machine language was the source program. Okay, here, and in machine language there was no need for translation because it could be directly executed by the CPU. Okay, in assembly language we are making use of English language, which the computer never understands. Okay, so here we have to go through a process of translation. Fine, so first, as you will be writing your program using assembly language, that program will be called the source program. Okay, for example, this is a instruction of your source program. Now some translation needs to be done. Okay, the source program that has been written in assembly language needs to be translated to the machine language so that the machine understands. Okay, so who will do the translation now? The assembler. Okay, so assembler uses assembly language, needs an assembler, okay, to convert the program, the source program, to machine program. And the machine program is called the object program here. Okay, so here your source program and your object programs will be different. Your source program will be the one, okay, that you have written using some other language. For example, in this case you have written using the assembly language. Then you have to do the translation, you have to translate it to the machine language, and the translated program is called the object program. In this case, our source program and object programs were the same because we did not need it. There was no requirement of translating the language, but here we have translated it. Okay, so our source program is different. Our source program is the assembly language program and our object program is the machine language program. Okay, that is what has been done here. Okay, now Okay. Now we talk about some of the advantages and disadvantages of assembly language program. Of course, talking about the advantages, it is less error prone as compared to machine language. Okay, this was more error prone. Then what did we get here? This was tedious. Okay, so you will have to give in much effort and time to write programs in machine language, not portable. Okay, however, it could be directly run by the CPU. Okay, also cannot be easily read, written, or understood by the user. So these were some advantages and disadvantages of using the machine language. Now talking about the assembly language, since it is here we are making use of the English language, so using this language is somewhat easier than the machine language. Okay, because we are using English alphabets here. Okay, English alphabets and digits, so relatively easier to use. Next, because the user can understand what he or she has written, okay, so that is why there are less chances of error. Okay, it is less time consuming. Okay, it is understood. It replaces all ones and zeros with the English instructions. Okay, however, talking about the disadvantages, here one advantage is we will be making use of the English language, but however we are not making use the proper language. We are not writing proper English sentences. Okay, what we are doing is we are simply writing some symbols. Okay, we are simply writing symbols, and to write the symbols the user also has to remember the symbols. So this is just one symbol, this is just one instruction. There are millions of instructions for assembly language. So accordingly, the user will have to remember. So these symbols are all predefined. So the user will have to remember the symbols in order to write the instructions in assembly language. So again, remembering the symbol is, it is not so easy. Okay, remembering the symbols, because we are making use of mnemonics here or symbols. So remembering the symbols is difficult. Okay, it will be difficult for the user. Okay, also execution. Okay, during execution, just before execution, sorry, the assembly language, it cannot be directly understood by the machine. Therefore it needs translation. So we need another software, that is the assembler, which will do the translation. Fine. So these are the advantages and disadvantages of machine language and assembly language. Is it clear till here? Is it clear till here, students?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Next, we will talk about high-level languages. Now, by high-level languages, you have already understood what I wanted to say. High-level languages are those that are closer to the programmer. That is, the languages that the programmer or the user will use to write his or her own program. Okay, and here we mainly use the English language. Okay, so here the high level languages are actually categorized into three categories: third generation language, fourth generation language, and fifth generation language. Okay, so talking about the third generation language, here we write instructions mainly using the English language with the symbols and digits. Okay, and the third generation language, okay, now some of the common third generation languages are the C. Okay, the C++, Java, we have Fortran, we have Basic, Pascal, COBOL, etc. So these are some languages. Let me just write it down. These are some languages, third generation languages, okay, that we use to write our computer program or the source program. Okay, but again, advantage is it is very much easier for the user to use it. Okay, whichever language you are using, okay, whichever programming language you are using, based on that, be it C, Pascal, COBOL, so just you have to know the syntax of using that language, and once you learn the syntax, you can easily write the program. So it is very much easier for the user to write it, okay, to understand it, to write it, to remember the syntax, because everything is English here. Okay, that is the biggest advantage. But however, since we are talking about a language which is closer to the user, therefore it clearly means that we are much far away from the machine. Okay, the high level languages are much far away from the machine. But however, at the end of the day, it is the machine who will be executing our instructions. Therefore, the high level language needs to be translated to the machine language. Okay, because machine language, a machine only understands machine language, binary language. So at the end of the day, no matter in whichever language you have written your program, it needs to be translated to the language which the machine would understand. And therefore, we have to go through a process of translation in here in high level languages also. Okay, so here we will make use of compilers or interpreters. Okay, so here we will make use of compilers and interpreters. Fine. So the compiler or the interpreters, some languages use only compiler, some languages use both compiler and interpreter. Okay, it depends on the language that you are using. Fine. It is also Java. Let me just write it. So there are many. Okay, so we will make use of compilers or interpreter to do the translation from the high level language to the low level language. Okay, so talking about compilers and interpreters now. Okay, talking about compilers and interpreters, what is a compiler and what is an interpreter? See, both compilers and interpreter does the same thing. Okay, both of them does the same thing, that is both are used to translate the high level language program to a low level language program. Okay, however, the working procedure is different. They work in a different manner. What will the compiler do? The compiler will take the entire program together. Okay, so as you know that your program will consist of a set of instructions, so there can be 10 instructions, there can be 20 instructions, and so on. Okay, so the difference lies between the working procedure. The compiler will take the entire program, okay, and then it will do the translation, whereas the interpreter will interpret the program one by one.